Okay, so I want to first start off by making sure that we are good to go in the group. Perfect. Okay, everything is working well. I can hear myself, see myself. So that means you can put in your comments if you're here with me live. And if we've never met before, I'm Melissa Fryer. I'm the owner and the main mentor at Build a Better Bakery. And this is the group that we run. So yes, I have a business that provides coaching and courses and workshops and paperwork and things like that for you so you can help build a better business faster. And what I like to do with y'all in here and just in general is I like to help you take control of what's happening, take control of your business, but also at the same time, hold on to some joy while you're doing it because this business can be kind of hard. It's a lot of work, physical labor, that kind of thing. We're bakers. So there's a lot that we have to take care of. And I want to make sure you're making a sustainable income, whatever it is that you need to make. I want to make sure you have some ideas and some strategies to get there. As a professional baker for almost 20 years now, it's hard to believe, almost 20 years, I'm here for you. Just know that. All right. So here at Build a Better Bakery, the theme for March, again, is finding more local clients. Today's topic is all about selecting a crowd. So we want to find out who should we be promoting to and selling to regularly. It's a lot easier to find crowds to sell to so that it's really more, you're directing your efforts towards a group of people rather than just like one or two separate people. So finding these crowds is really important. Do you already advertise to a specific crowd or audience in your area? Like maybe a specific recurring event that you go to, or maybe an area that you sell in, or a certain group of people that you're talking to. Let me know in the comments which crowd you currently serve, if you have one. And I wanted to mention here, just as an example, for me, we're newer to the area we're in Texas right now, and I've never used the Nextdoor app before. So I got on it, I created an account, I started posting, and I found that people here really resonate with that. So I would consider that a crowd, right? And we'll talk more about finding a good crowd because I'm having success selling products there. They're kind of they're checking all the boxes. And I really think it's kind of due to the driving being kind of dangerous around here, in my opinion. People don't want to go too far. So they're using that app to find people who are selling things closer to them so they can avoid driving. So it's going to be different everywhere. And that's just an example of what I might put in the comments if I were answering. Go ahead and throw up your hashtag live. If you're live, go ahead and throw up your hashtag replay. If you're on the replay, and throw in your questions as well if you have any as we move through this. If you'd like to stay in the know about the lives, you can check the events in the group. I'll be posting the events for next month, probably in the next few days. You can send Melissa Fryer, that's me, a request on Facebook that it will automatically invite you to those new events that I'm about to make. So that'll be important to do now. You can hang out on the email list. You'll just get direct replay links sent once in a while. You'll get other resources, things that we're doing. You'll know all about it in there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where we put a lot of the replays. So it's kind of like replay on demand. It's a nice way to use keyword search. You can also see them in the featured section of this group. Either way, whatever's easiest for you. I go live every Thursday at 9 a.m. Mountain Time right here in the Bakery Business School group if I'm home and available. That's not going to be every week, but I try to do as many weeks as possible because I want to make sure you're getting new, fresh content. It's important just to keep ideas rolling and help you feel supported. So let's go ahead and hop right in with the topic for today, finding more local clients by carefully selecting your crowd. To get the most out of this live, I would suggest also watching the last two sessions on this topic in March, namely the session from last week where we discussed following your vibe. That's really going to be kind of part of this. And I'm not going to go over all of that content again, so you can just watch the last session if you'd like. The reason being is that your vibe will lead you to the best crowds to sell to and spend time with naturally. So yeah, finding your vibe can find a couple different people, but it's also going to put you in the same place for the crowd idea, which we're going to cover. My favorite part about this aspect of finding clients is that you get the chance to look at your options locally with a magnifying glass. So it really gives you an opportunity to look deeper, kind of come up with some creative ways of getting in front of people or finding ways to entertain crowds that might be good buyers for you. And discovering so much potential, discovering extra potential that maybe you had skipped over before or hadn't really looked at is also probably going to happen when you start looking. It might take a bit of digging. Yeah. It might take a couple of days to kind of figure out what's going on around you. And those of us with smaller communities may have slim pickings. I've lived in super small rural places, so I totally get that. I'll give you an example later. But I will attest that each time I do this, in any location we've ever lived, we move a lot because we're military, in any size, any demographic, there's always something that I find. It's like a lead or a group that I never knew about before. Is always something. So I've never done this and just been completely lost. If you watched the last session, you know that following your own unique vibe is the second step to finding quality local clients, namely because you're already headed towards the people and the places you already like. It's just so much easier to stay curious, to get interested in kind of taking part in what they're doing and making deeper connections with those within that group because you're already on the same page. And I want to stress here that just because you don't already see a completely constructed opportunity, I don't want that to deter you because you might be the first person to pave the way there. So just because you look at that group or community and they don't have other bakers selling or they don't really have those opportunities yet, that doesn't mean that you can't do something with them. Often people don't even really think about this. They don't know what's possible, and they'll realize what they're missing when you bring it up. So to be the first person is not the worst. So the top 3 things, and you might want to jot these down, the top 3 things to look for when you're searching through crowds to sell to, which may be in different selling formats. So this could be events, pre-sales, themed offers, classes, etc. Whatever it is you do, you likely can find a way to serve them. We want to check for the following 3 things. One is look for a group of people who have a history of buying. So you already know that they buy consistently, or the potential to buy based on how you're seeing them act or their daily lifestyle, etc. Number 2 is a selling location or site that is safe and comfortable. That's going to also be important because you're not going to want to sell places that you don't feel safe. And then 3 is a vibe and theme that is acceptable. So it doesn't have to match you perfectly, but acceptable or complementary to your brand. Meaning if your brand is all about, let's say like feminine power or something like, that kind of thing, you likely wouldn't set up at, a male influenced shop, right? Things like that. So just as long as it's complementary to what you're doing and acceptable, that should be good enough to start. Okay. So to give you some examples, just to kind of flesh these out and kind of fill you in on what I'm talking about, let's say you live in a town that doesn't have much. Been there, done that. Okay. So maybe they have like a local small college. That's a plus. Maybe they have a couple parades a year. Maybe they have a local small grocery store. These are things that maybe are going on. Take a look at all the options and see how they fit into the 3 listed categories I just gave you. If you don't know the answer, this may be your chance to find out. So are you going to hit the nail on the head every single time you go to a lead and try to make an opportunity with them? No. Sometimes it just doesn't work, but this is your chance. For instance, maybe you know that people buy things at the parades. So that's like yeah, I'll do that. But the grocery store doesn't seem to have vendors really, like inside or outside. And the college is like doing it's totally its own thing. You're not really there. You're not a college student. So you're not exactly sure how they operate. So you could take an opportunity to pitch maybe a pop-up option to both and see how they feel about allowing that to their group or to their community. It doesn't hurt to try. And what you might find is that people, this would be my guess actually, if you gave me those options, I would think that you might not get a lot of sales at the grocery store because people who are going in have a list in mind and they're ready to purchase XYZ. And a lot of times we leave spending more money at the grocery store than we wanted to. So when they come out, if that's your chance to have them purchase or at the end of their transaction, they may not really be interested in spending more because they just spent a bunch. So I would say that's about a 50-50 depending on your community specifically. I would actually bet that the college students would buy more because I'll tell you, if there was like a booth set up in between classes that had sweets or bakes or whatever, and I had $10, I would be throwing them $10 to get whatever it is that they had, So think about the demographic. What are they doing? What's the mindset? And that's going to help you pick a better crowd. For another example, let's move to a more of a large city. So let's say you live in a larger city and you have endless options. There's just so many shops and places and crowds and groups, and it's just, you could never see all the events. You could never be at everything. That's kind of what I'm experiencing right now. It could be harder to narrow down what it is you want to do. So first, as in the first session as well of this month, select crowds closer to you. And this is just going to be for ease of access right now. So you're not spending a lot of time traveling. You're not having to drag your stuff all over town, that kind of thing. And then look at crowds that fit your vibe, and that's for your own comfort. So see what's kind of close to you and also fit your vibe. Then when you're considering the 3 factors above, you might find that you're finding crowds of buyers that are kind of in locations that you don't love. So let's say in your little community, there is a bodega that people go to or walk by to grab a coffee or a small dinner after work. So this is between like 5 and 7 p.m. There's a lot of people right there. So you might think, hey, I'm going to ask the bodega if I can pop up outside and try to sell to those people. It's a good idea, but we have to remember, do you feel safe there? So let's say wherever they're located is really close to a corner. There's a lot of people. It starts to get dark, that kind of thing. So you might not feel great, even though that's a really good crowd and there's people that are going to buy. You might not feel great about sitting there, in the dark with all your product in a busy location like that. So just trying to do pros and cons on what it is that, can we make it any safer? Can we get more people, more eyeballs without putting our product and ourselves at risk doing it? Or let's say that you're into muscle cars, all right? Let's say that's your thing. And you decide to partner with a local dealership, and you're going to pop up and you're going to sell to their crowd because you love being around cars, you love talking about cars, and hey, you make products too and people can buy them there. But when you set it up, you didn't really check what they were doing at that same time. And when you get to the dealership, it just so happens it's also their 30th birthday celebration, and they're giving away free cake. So it's negating your sales because you're also selling cake, and it's just kind of a mess. So yes, we're looking for the vibe. Yes, we're looking for a safe location. Yes, we're looking for people who would potentially buy. But that's where we need to check on potential buy, because if there's other products that are competing with you that are extremely cheap and or free, you're probably going to have a harder time buying or selling because people are already getting it for less. Does that make sense? There are definitely priority things where people will still buy from you if they don't like that product, but it's something to consider. So that's another example of that one. Okay, and then let's say that you're into gardening. This is a more crowd rather than event. Let's say you're into gardening and you have a local Facebook group that you're in with other gardeners like me. What you could do is, if you think, hey, I want to see if I can sell to this crowd because we're into the same stuff. Maybe you could check with the administrator and see if you can post maybe some really cute, adorable Earth Day cookies that you're going to make. And maybe they're for sale and maybe they're not, but what you're doing is you're putting yourself in front of the group to kind of show them that you can also serve them in that area. And of course, we always want to ask first, because if you like being in that group, you don't want to get kicked out. So we want to follow the rules for the group, and we want to establish a crowd that feels okay seeing what we're producing. So make sure it's in the same theme, that, it's kind of their vibe, and we don't want to step on any toes. So we just want to make sure, if you're going to do that type of thing, that everything is kind of greenlit before moving forward. And then lastly, just to round this out, I've told this story a couple times because it's hilarious, but it goes well with this topic. I wanted to share that earlier on, I've been doing bakery stuff for a long time, but there was a point when I was so enthusiastic about signing up for events and trying to sell new products and things. I was kind of taking anything that was there. And because I was living in an area that wasn't extremely small, but there weren't a ton of events, anytime a new event popped up, everyone knew about it. So this event popped up and I was saying yes to basically everything that I saw. And I was a new mom too, so I would say that my attention was a little divided, but I went ahead and said yes, and we were moving forward. I spent a ton of time prepping and getting ready, like way too much probably. And once we got there, it was just a total disaster. I mean, it was not run well, number one. The music was horrid. It was too loud. It was inappropriate. Like it just was not good. And they had the vendors in the weirdest spot, just like not conducive to sales at all. It was I think I could tell once we got there, they had used the vendors to pay for stuff, like charging us to be there. So their incentive wasn't necessarily to help us sell products. It was to get us to pay some of the bill. Um, if I had known more, like I'll mention later, I'm going to share with you in April. If I had known more, I would have seen all these red flags. I just didn't. So everyone was super upset. No one was really selling anything. I came to find out it was their first event because I didn't ask. And I didn't cover those top 3 questions that I just gave you earlier about finding a crowd specifically. The people who were in attendance, they weren't there to buy. They were there to watch their kids in the pageant. They were nervous and they were worried and they were not interested in eating or buying. They were just really focused on their kids. The location was really not safe. It was safe, but it wasn't comfortable or pleasant in any way. The vibe was absolutely not my thing. It did not really go with what I was selling or what I was doing. And no, thank you. I do not want to attend another Shopkins themed children's pageant ever again. Okay, it's not my thing. And you may be wondering, but did she make sales? What did she make money? Yes, I did sell one thing, and then I had a headache for the rest of the day. So thank you for asking. It was not a good event at all. So to recap, when it comes to finding local clients, search out crowds that can offer the following: have the potential to buy or the history to buy. Those are 2 things to look for. They can work with you in a safe location, and they have a vibe that is complementary or acceptable to what you do for yourself or for your brand. Because if it's not matching up like Shopkins, it's not going to work out. It just won't. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions coming in. So if you're viewing this on the replay, make sure you pop them in later. To help those of you that want to venture into pop-ups and markets, I get these questions a lot. Pop-ups are becoming really popular, especially the self-serve type, things like that. Markets are starting to get going because it's spring and summer coming up. So those are going to be really popular. And you want to make money right away instead of, making mistakes. You can just have more information to get started right away instead of trying to, try stuff and fail, etc. It's easier just to kind of know what to do. I am going to be hosting a workshop all about the subject in April, and I think you're going to love this. We're going to be taking a deep dive into pop-ups. We're going to talk about on location and self-serve. So I'm going to give you 2 strategies, as well as markets and events. We're going to talk about indoor and outdoor. So you're going to know the differences, what to expect, and also know what kind of questions to ask to pick the best ones. You're going to know how to prepare some menus. You're going to know tips on marketing ideas and timelines. That's going to be important for these. You're going to have some information on how to plan how much to make. I'll give you some formulas and some things to ask. You're going to learn about some pricing considerations. I want to talk about that whole situation and more. I'm not exactly sure because I'm just now posting this out. But that's the basis of what we're going to cover, which is a lot of information. And I'm going to try to do it in under an hour or less so it doesn't take up your whole day. The bonuses, because I like bonuses, included will be checklists for these types of sales situations. So all the 4 that I listed, the 2 pop-ups and the 2 market types, I'm going to give you checklists for those. And you're going to know more about prepping and what to have on hand. So there's not a lot of times you get caught there without a thing and it's annoying. So I want to make sure you know what I've needed over the years. I've done probably over 100 events and I've planned events, markets, etc. I've been a part of all of it basically that I'm going to be talking about. So I can show you at least what I have done myself. And you also are going to get a 20-minute mentorship session that you can use at your convenience to chat about whatever it is you need to talk about, planning something, kind of looking at a after action review of an event to make it better, that kind of thing, whatever you want to use it for. And then lastly, we always have a Q&A session at the end where you can submit your question early if you can't make the live event, or if you come to the live event, you can just chat with me there one-on-one or in the Zoom workshop. So that's a part of it too. You can absolutely make income right away. I've mentored people in a way to where they can sell out at their first event. Is there nuance to this, sure. I'm not there with you, so there are things that I don't know for sure, but I can do my best to get you as close to making a good income and selling out with your first event or with your next event, your pop-up or market, whatever it is you're doing. So this content is absolutely valued over $100, but I've listed it for 20 because it's one of our bite-sized workshops, and I guarantee that you'll love it. I'm in the process of uploading this workshop link as we speak. I'm trying to finish out some of the wording, and then I'm also going to put up 2 more for quarter 2. So there's going to be 3 workshops available soon. If you'd like to be notified when they are ready, comment here with workshop or just DM me directly on the platform, and I can get the link to you whenever it's up. One other thing I want to mention here, so you're the first to hear this. I decided that I want to partner the workshops with the Elite Mentorship Program. I've done this in the past and I changed it to be a little bit different, but I think I want to go back to the workshop and the mentorship model. And what we're going to do is we're going to extend all workshop access to Elite members. So if you're a current member, then this is something extra that you're going to get. Or if you've been considering joining, this is another kind of bonus or freebie to joining the mentorship. I'll be making access to our monthly workshops completely free to y'all. So if you want to be an Elite, you're going to get in for free as long as you are part of the mentorship and a workshop's coming up and you are current when it goes live, you get free access to that. And that comes on top of our weekly live meetups. So we meet up usually about once a week for an hour, just to make sure you're not feeling alone, make sure any questions, anything that's coming up for you, we can just talk about it together. It's an easy way to get a little bit of mentorship, once a week or whenever you need it during the month on those days. There's also a large evergreen content vault. There's a ton of videos and information created by the entire coaching team sitting in there for you on replay, so you can watch them and binge them at any time. That's on our private group. And there are other VIP benefits and coaching team assistance available, like discounted private mentorship and other things that I think you're going to find useful. So you can check out the mentorship options at this link, which I'm going to post for you now. The introductory tier is currently set at $35. So it's really quite affordable at the moment, and it will likely increase at the end of April. So I am going to put this in for you so you can see it. As I mentioned, I'm working on the workshops. So if you're interested in those, go ahead and comment workshop or send me a message and I'll get you the link to that. Okay, Ange says live. I'll have to check out the replay later because I missed some of this. Okay, yeah, sounds good. Yep, you'll see the replay in the featured section and then I'll get it on YouTube soon as well. Okay, so that's all for today's Select Your Crowd topic. It's a little bit different than the first 2. I'll be off next week for a family obligation and back with you in April for a few sessions. And we're going to be covering some time management topics because I asked in the group what people kind of had on their mind or what would make them feel better about their business. And that has been definitely a popular answer. So I'm going to give probably some of my top time management strategies to you, or maybe just some ideas to get your brain going on it inside of those sessions that are coming up in April. And I will post those soon. And those are the ones that you'll see in the Bakery Business School group. So you can make sure to mark yourself as going when I get those posted on the events, so you can get an automatic Facebook reminder. I think it comes about an hour before just to keep you up to date, or you can always set an alarm and I'll see you live right inside of this group at 9 a.m. Mountain Time at those dates. Okay, hope you all have the best day. I'm not seeing any other comments to answer, so I will talk to you in a couple weeks. Bye.